Okay, here we are back with the John Deere again, and I'm getting ready to start bush hogging the rest of the dog lot. So we're gonna get this thing fired up and get started. And this is a 5-foot sidewinder bush hog, which is probably more than this tractor is designed to have on it, but it does handle it pretty good. I would not try it without the loader on it. It gets a little bit light even with the loader on it, but it will pick it up and handle it. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. I've already done some of it yesterday and it rained me out, but let's see if this thing will fire up. Oh yeah. See if it'll raise it up. Yep. It don't pick it up very high, but it don't need to really. I got everything set up already. Just need to get started. Alright, while I'm bush hogging this here, I guess some of you, especially you safety Sallies out there, have noticed that the roll bar is down on this tractor. Now, the last video I made on this tractor, it was sitting still. I never even drove the tractor. I backed it out of my barn to do a video on it, and it was just sitting there. Somebody left me an extremely rude comment that I didn't care for about putting the blankety blank roll bar up. Well, first of all, this is my property, my tractor, my life, and it's all basically flat around here. And if I want to keep the roll bar down and not tear the tree limbs off my trees, or tear the the door frame off my barn, or to get it under this fence I'm getting ready to drive it under here in a little bit. I can keep the roll bar down if I want to. I'm also not wearing my seatbelt because that's the correct way to operate the tractor with the roll bar down, is to not wear your seatbelt. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. If anybody else wants to say some rude comments about the roll bar being down, then I will block you also. But anyway, I understand, I understand the point of having the roll bar up. I do put the roll bar up when the ground is uneven or steep, and I wear my seatbelt in those situations because I don't want to die either. I don't, I have a wife and kid, and I want to be around for them. But in this situation here on this perfectly flat ground, there's not really any need for the roll bar. Yeah, I could put it up, but then I would immediately have to put it back down here in a few minutes because you'll see here in a little bit in the video, I have to get under a fence. I don't actually show driving under it, but I show you where I go through it, and there's a bar just barely that with the roll bar down, it just barely clears. So anyway, if you would like to be blocked, start raising Cain about my roll bar, and it might just happen. Alright, hope you enjoy my video. Oh, and one other thing, I had a lot of people ask me why I didn't have goats in this lot. And I actually did have goats in this lot at one time, but they belonged to my in-laws, and that was fine. The problem was the mess that they made. What we used to do was we rotated half the lot with the goats, half the lot with the dogs, and then we would rotate the goats and the dogs, and the goats would keep it eat down pretty good. It looked okay. But the problem was they made such a huge mess with all the dog houses. They would get in all the dog houses and just fill them full of crap, literally fill them full of crap. Also up under the shed that I show you here in a minute, off the shed off the side of the barn over there, they would just fill all that full of crap. And it just didn't, it made, to me, seem like an unsanitary condition for the dogs to live in, and I really did not like it. So finally the goats found a new home, and they're happy where they are now, and I'm happy that they are where they are because they're not here. I would rather have a tractor and bush hog the lots or whatever I got to do to maintain them than I would have goats in them again. Alright, so I got most of this lot chopped up. Looking pretty good thanks to the little John Deere 1026 and a 5-foot sidewinder bush hog. I've also got a 7-foot sidewinder bush hog I need to show y'all. It's a tire driven bush hog. Of course it has to go on a bigger tractor, but it's pretty neat where it's got that tire drive on it. And I'll have to get that one out and run it a little bit one day. Let y'all check that out. It's a pretty neat machine. But I still gonna have to do a little bit of weed eating around these dog houses and stuff. The guy that owned this property before we ended up with it, he used to raise foxhounds, and he'd keep about 35 or so foxhounds in this lot. That's why it's so big. We only have 4 dogs in here, but it's a really nice lot to keep them in. It's just a lot to maintain, and they didn't really make any access in here to maintain it. But he had enough dogs in here, they kept it all wore out. But we only have 4 dogs in here. They don't keep it trampled down too good. This lot has got a creek running through it, and that's the neat thing about it. And the dogs can come over here and drink and play in the creek. When it's hot, they can lay in the creek or whatever. So it's pretty neat. And like I said before in another video, I think there's 4 separate lots here. You got this lot, the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. I'm gonna have to cut some more fence to get into the next lot over, but I believe that's what I'm gonna do instead of weed eating all of it. And I'm gonna try to take down some fence and get this little tractor that I got here, this handy little tractor that I've come across, and I'll get it over there and bush hog that, and then I'll just keep trying to get it over into each lot and get them all bush hogged, and then I'll go around the edges and trim up with the weed eater. So kind of excited about being able to do that. And hey, this is Maggie. She's a sweet lab. And then Shelly, she's over there. This right here is Bentley. He got out last night, so he's out wandering around here. This is a stray that we kind of adopted, and Maggie, somebody had some puppies that they didn't want, and we ended up taking one to give it a home. She's a really good dog. And Shelly, there's a long story on her. We ended up with her, and we got her when she was a little puppy, and she's a really good dog. And there's one more in here that we adopted from the pound. I don't see him right now, but his name's Mac. He's a funny looking dog. He's a funny dog. I don't see him in here. But anyway, I got to move the dogs down to the next lot. Try to figure out how to get the tractor into the next lot. Cause this gate ain't near wide enough. It ain't but 3 foot wide, and I got to have a 5-foot hole, at least a 5-foot hole to get that thing through. Well, I was able to get a piece of fence down right here, and there was some tie wires around this pole, and this rebar was through this fence here, and through that chain link, and I cut the tie wires and ended up having to take the tractor and dig right here a little bit and pull that wire loose out of the ground. It was kind of in the ground, so the dogs wouldn't dig under it, I'm sure. But anyway, I was able to fold it back, and I was able to leave this bar up here, and I drove that tractor. As soon as the rear wheels drop down, there's a little bit of a drop right here. The roll bar just barely cleared under this thing right here, so I didn't have to. I was going to take a chop saw and saw it off if I had to, but I didn't need to. But anyway, I got into this next section here and bush hogged it. There's another dog house out there. I'm thinking about, they had another lot around that dog house, but I ripped all it out. And I was thinking about moving that dog house up here closer to the barn. This is my barn. And you see I got floodlights to shine out here. Those were already here, but it's nice when you're feeding the dogs, you can turn the floodlights on. And they got a bunch of dog houses here that they can get in, and then I got another dog house right there that they can go. This gate right here is normally open, so they have free range of the whole lot, but I got them pinned up so they won't get them away while I'm working. But anyway, see this little alley they can get in here, and this is where we feed them at. But they can get in here, and I got them a neat little dog house right here they can go in, and it's really big, and all of them can get in there. And I put wood chips and stuff in there when it gets cold, and straw, and I actually have foam insulation in it so it'll stay warmer. But they got a neat little a neat little place here to get in. This is kind of a shed off the side of my barn, but there's another lot right here, and it's a disaster. It needs to be bush hogged. Of course, there's another fence I got to tear down to do that, and it comes all the way up under the barn here. It's going to be a little more difficult to get this fence loose. And there's a gate here. There's a gate there you can close. There's a gate here you can close. And then you got another lot. If you go back down in there, there's another lot. Now I'm thinking about just taking this fence out and just making all this one big lot instead of having two lots. I don't have any reason to have this many lots. So anyway, I just thinking about making it easier to maintain. Right now it's cut up so much. The only thing you can get in here to maintain it with is a weed eater, and it's just so much area. Who has time to weed eat all day? I don't. You know, if I can get in here with that little tractor and keep it mowed and bush hogged or whatever, then it'll get done. Weed eating for a day is not something that's going to get done very often. I mean, I've done it, but I just don't have the time to screw with it, really. But I like to keep this mowed and maintained to keep, well, I'll show you why I like to keep it mowed, because, well, it's already happened. I like to keep stuff mowed to keep the varmints, the snakes away. I don't like snakes. But I run into one a minute ago, and him and the bush hog didn't like each other too good, and here he is. I have no idea what the heck it is. I don't think it's a copperhead, but it could be. I don't know. I don't know if it's poisonous or not. Maybe y'all know what it is. It's got those stripes on it. Is it like I don't know what it is. I don't know that I've ever seen a snake striped up like that. Most of the time a copperhead's got like Hershey Kisses designs on them. So I don't think that's what it is. It may be some type of water snake, but anyway, he got in the way and he didn't make it. That dog house right here, I can't keep the roof on it. That right there is the roof. Anyway, the roof keeps blowing off of it. We've set all kinds of stuff on top, tried fastening it back down, but it wouldn't stay on, so water has got in it so bad it's rotten. So I'm going to try to take the tractor and I'm going to try to get it over there to the hole I got in the fence, and I'm going to get the grapple on the 4710 Massey Ferguson, and I'm going to pick that doghouse up and haul it up there. I got a burn pile right up there in the cow pasture, so I'm going to work on that here just right now. Try to work it over there with the little tractor here. I've been thinking what I believe I would like to do is try to come in here with the tiller and till all this weed mass, roots and crap up, and try to replant some fescue in here, like Kentucky 31 or something, like a good hardy grass. That's what I would like to do, and try to get some. The problem is this place is just so daggone rocky. I don't know that I can till it. I may just have to scrape it with a bucket and get the junk and as much weeds as I can off, and then just seed it. And I want to try to get up all the rocks and junk that I can. And it would be nice to be able to just come in here with the finish mower on the tractor and just mow this with a finish mower and not have to bush hog all this mess down. And now that I'm going to try to keep it where I can get these fences open easier, where I can get this tractor in here a couple times a year or more, and keep this mowed down nicer. So I'd like to have something nicer in here to mow than just this big old stalky, like this big old stalky junk that I'm mowing down. Looks like ragweed and all kinds of stuff in here. But I'm going to give the tiller a try. It's not going to be in this video, but once I get all these lots cleaned up, bush hogged down and cleaned up, and as I have time this fall, I think I'm going to get the tiller in here and try it and see what happens, and see if I can get this chopped up and get some good grass seed in here and get it growing in here. It'd be a lot nicer for the dogs, look a lot nicer, and be easier to maintain also. So okay, that's going to be all for now. We'll holler at you later.